Yo, today we're going to go through everything you need for off spawns and solos. No long intros, let's go. When it comes to picking a drop, you really want to pick one that suits your strengths. So if you're really good at dropping, you should really consider one of the 50-50 drops on the edge of the map. So in yellow, I've got all of the, I'd consider 50-50 drops. So, you know, you can think of one of these or these. But if you're not so good at dropping, you probably want to stick to maybe a red POI, which I think you can just easily split and, you know, get some loot and then go. Or you can pick one of the center map drops and just make sure you have a drop map, because there isn't too much skill in the gliding. You just pretty much hit your marker and that's about it. However, you really need to be careful that if you do pick a 50-50 drop, you don't just spend all of your 10 games just dying off spawn. It's just those tournaments when you're below average and maybe you lose 5 games off spawn. That's pretty much your tournament done. So to minimize that, you also need to be able to scout other drops. So imagine you're landing at this split. You also want to see if this is uncon, this is uncon, this is uncon. And there are ways you can do that. And one of those is by, whilst you're gliding in, you can still hit a drop map and have full speed, but you can also scout to the left and right. So let me show that now. So whilst gliding, you can look at your compass to see the angle. And then if you add 60, you can then find the angle in which you can hold A and W and not lose any speed. Obviously, you can change that angle based on your double movement. Here's an off-spawn masterclass from Rise. This one doesn't actually involve any DDoSing, it's just a really good Fortnite. So he's conned here by Yasir at the outpost, and both of them are aiming for the main building. They're both pretty much aiming for this spot over here. There's barrels and I think 2 chests. And Rise does have the better drop. Like, if you want to win your off spawns, you do have to pretty much just be good at dropping. But there's a lot more here to unpack. So Rise goes down and gets his little pocket of loot, using a floor to break the barrels. That kind of speed can help you massively. And at this point, he's already got half playable loadout. So when he was gliding in, he knew that Yasir swerved somewhere to the left. But to be able to actually close this fight quickly and to capitalize on his advantage, he needs to know where he is. So he immediately plays for information, plays to scout, but also doesn't give too much information away. So look how he's always crouching, being patient, and just waiting for Yasir to overexpose himself. So he's still trying to just be aware, trying to work out where he is. And still, like, as he's moving, he's farming mats. He's still trying to build up his advantages. He knows he's probably got a shield advantage, a loot advantage. He's got the height advantage, and he's playing for the surprise advantage, and now he wants mats. It's just all about stacking up advantages. And now he spots out where he is. Tries to get a beam. Doesn't get it. But now it's just about being confident to try and end the fight quick. So he knows Yasir is crouching, so he's probably kind of scuffed. Maybe has no mats. So Rise just has to keep the pressure up and not make any bad mistakes. And then eventually Yasir just crumbles. Obviously Yasir looks like a bot, he looks like a Div 3 player there. But Rise had set himself up pretty much to win in every scenario there. Every good off-spawn plan has a good loot route, and there are some rules that you should follow when making your loot route. So let's say we're making a loot route for this spot here. Zoom in. Rule 1 is that you should always start your loot route where your drop map aims for. So for this split, most drop maps aim for this quartz. So you should start your path here. So let's say maybe you get this and then that. And then you want to end your loot route where it will be most convenient for your mid game. So obviously, normally for your rotates, you want to go left to obviously go to zone. So that means you want to end your loot route somewhere here. So then you should probably go from here, something like this, and end it this way so you can go towards zone. Obviously, this is quite a rough path. In game, you should know exactly which chest you're going to go, how you're going to mantle, which stuff you're going to farm, and how you're going to get all of your mats and scout to see if you're getting locked on. The easiest way to do this is just to watch a pro's replays and just learn it off by heart and practice it in games before your actual cups. Every drop is going to have its flaws. So last season there was probably have been many drops without dashes or any form of mobility, and even then this season there were still plenty of drops without good materials or even any metal. And I know this is trios, but I think this is a really good example to show how you can be proactive to solve the problems in your drop spot. So this is Razul, Reto and Kim Karner, the Asia team in NA Eval. and they landed demons in opens, probably take this blaster, and look how they're leaving with 23, 43, and 78 builds. That's not really that much, and they probably could farm more in demons, and that's probably what most teams would do. But they know that they want to make the game easy for themselves and get their metal early before someone else takes it. So they go up here, and they get onto this hill to try and find better metal. And now they're in this safe position where they can play from and pretty much hold from here the rest of the game. So now they have access to this metal, all of this brick here. I think there's some more brick over here, and they have this launch pad for future rotates. And they've solved many problems of their drop in one fell swoop. So there's not particularly much mobility here, and there's not really metal there. And now they've solved both problems just by being proactive. And obviously they scouted to see that this was clear, and then once they scouted, they maximize their position because they know that this team is normally just back here to farm the metal. Now they're in a much better position where they have access to this launch pad, so they have a bit more loot, but now their mats are incredibly good. They've controlled over this whole area because obviously, I presume whilst they were down here, they were scouting, getting AR tags or whatever, just controlled the area, and now they have this launch pad and everything's set up for them to win the game. Obviously this is trios, but in solos the principle still applies, where if you rotate early, you can then reduce the disadvantages of your original spot to find metal. Maybe here, this is a pretty good example that other people can recreate. And also this launch pad is a very good way that they've tried to solve their problems in the future that they don't even know about, which would obviously be a max pool, which would be helped by the launch pad. Thanks for watching this video. I do hope you learned something. Do check out the other videos on my channel and do leave some feedback in the comments or whatever. Thank you.